So somewhere in the job description of college presidents, it says, college presidents are required to introduce people. At a minimum, the opportunity is presented at commencement a couple of times a year. There are often many more chances at college events, civic functions, to introduce an audience to a graduate, or a student, or a superintendent, or a mayor, or a governor. Tonight, I have the privilege of introducing you to someone I know well. Donn King is an associate professor of communication studies in the Department of Liberal Arts here at Pellissippi State. His career started in the newspaper business when he was a teenager and includes stints in radio, advertising, sales, and teaching. We have been colleagues and friends for more than 20 years. There are a few things I've learned about Donn over the years that will provide some context for his remarks tonight. He is a devoted father to all of his children, but particularly Hannah, who requires intensive medical attention. I hope I have been half the father to my children that Donn has been to his. He remains committed to the workings of this college as a faculty member, as evidenced by his long participation in faculty council and faculty senate. He has an interest in process and communication that serves us and the institution well. We are stronger because he is part of our college community. Our students are better speakers because Donn has been their professor. He offers assistance in the art of communication to our students, members of the community, and me. If you've been a new student orientation leader at Pellissippi State, you spent time with Donn on your presentation skills. If you've had the opportunity to speak before the President of the United States on a program at a particular community college in East Tennessee, Donn has worked with you on your presentation skills. Donn is one of the most thoughtful people I know, and I am so grateful he is a member of our faculty and our speaker for these commencement exercises. I am blessed to have him as a friend. Please join me in welcoming Donn to the podium.
I must start out by saying something to the students who have been in my public speaking class. Yes, we told you that seldom would it be appropriate for you to write your speech out word for word and deliver it from manuscript. This is one of those occasions. And if you have forgotten why that is, ask me afterwards. It will be safe because your grade has already been determined. Today is a special day for the graduates and their families. You have worked long and hard for this day. I think you're wise to choose to mark it with this celebration. In your science classes, you probably used a graduated cylinder. And that did not mean it had finished its education. Graduated means marked. And so today marks a major transition and an achievement in your ongoing journey. Congratulations. Today is a special day for my family and me too, though in a different way. Our oldest son, Barry, would have been walking across this stage tonight had he lived. He died in January 2018 with 3 classes left to go after 14 years of working toward his degree. He had brittle diabetes and suffered from kidney disease. When he was hospitalized with the flu in early January last year, it was more than his battered heart could manage. When the nurses checked on him at 5 a.m. one morning, he was sitting up and talking to them, but when they came with his medicine at 5:20 a.m., he was gone. There's an empty chair down here for him today because the college has determined that given his GPA, he would likely have finished and celebrate along with you today. They are granting him a posthumous AAS degree in computer science, for which I am extremely grateful. Like you, Barry fought through life's challenges to get that degree. You have struggled with transportation and finances, and so did he. It took him so long because he would get partway through a semester, wind up in the hospital for a couple of weeks, get too far behind to catch up, and withdraw from the semester to try again later. Some semesters he couldn't go at all because he didn't have a car or enough money for tuition. He was only 9 years old when his mother and I broke up, and many of you know firsthand the damage that can do to a child. But he transmuted his anger and hurt into becoming one of the kindest and most supportive human beings I have ever known. Like many of you, he had the support of those who love him. My wife and I helped when we could, and his sisters and brother did also. His grandparents encouraged him and supported him through some of his toughest times. And always, always, he had friends. Some of you have reached this point without the help of family, perhaps even with opposition from family. In that case, like him, you have the support of dedicated people here at the college. I dare say for almost everyone who works here, we could make more money doing something else. We get part of our compensation from the satisfaction of helping you, though we would be happy to receive a raise. We'll talk about that later. Barry kept it quiet that he was my son. He would not have received special treatment from other faculty, but he worried a bit that if others in a class knew his dad taught here, the faculty member might be a little extra hard on him just to be sure everyone knew he wasn't getting special treatment. So when people helped him, it wasn't because he was my son, but because Pellissippi folk want to help, like the wonderful folks in the disabilities office and the faculty member who helped him get the car so he could make it to class. Graduates, you all have had help along the way, even though you may not always have recognized it, since sometimes it may have looked harsh. We always aim to help you do more than simply get your ticket punched. One of Barry's proudest moments came when he was hired as a new student orientation leader. In the short time he worked with them, his co-workers saw how friendly and giving he was. And he loved making a difference, especially to those non-traditional students who were his particular charge. In fact, one of my proudest moments came when I could help train him in that role just a week before his death. I am so glad that he knew the satisfaction of that achievement as one of the last things he did. It speaks to his impact that when he died, his fellow NSO leaders set up a scholarship in his memory, one that the college just announced last week. His friends have told me that he learned a lot from me, that he had come to look up to me, and I strive to be worthy of that. But he taught me a lot more. And as you go out from this institution, you have learned a lot as well, more than how to work quadratic equations, or what happened in 1786, or even what the 5 steps in Monroe's motivated sequence might be. He knew, and I hope you know, that college isn't about absorbing information. If it were, ours would be a most inefficient enterprise, because books are faster and cheaper, and there's this little thing called the internet. College is more about what to do with that information. It's about evaluating that information. It's about learning how to set long-term complex goals and to stay the course despite the challenges. It's about solving problems and picking the right problem to work on. It's about working with other people. In short, it's about becoming a more effectively functioning human being. It matters less what you got out of Pellissippi State, and more what Pellissippi State got out of you, or rather what we helped you get out of yourself. Pellissippi State helped Barry get a lot out of himself, and he taught me a lot along the way. Here are just a few things that Barry taught me, and that you may realize that you have also learned. First, keep getting up. No matter how many times he got knocked down by life, Barry just kept getting back up again until that last time when he simply could not. He never gave up. He got depressed, but he never gave up. Second, have fun while you work. Despite his very real battle with depression, I rarely saw him with anything other than a smile. He found ways to have fun despite the challenges. Years ago, his diabetes began playing havoc with his feet, and he wound up having to have a toe amputated. He told me that after the kidney transplant that he thought he would receive soon, though it didn't come soon enough. He planned to get a tattoo on the top of his foot, pointing to the missing digit with the inscription, "Gone to market." He was famous for his large feet, literally a size 15 or 16, and so he cracked jokes about his clown shoes and how he could water ski without skis. When I went to visit him in the hospital, he would usually have me laughing before I left. He taught me to encourage others along the way. Some of you were in school because of his encouragement, I think. I know that one of his best friends planned her courses so that the two of them could graduate together tonight. If I understand correctly, she wasn't even sure she would go to college. A combination of his encouragement and her strength of character led her to not just continue at Pellissippi State, but to become an outstanding student leader while here and to plant the seeds for a fabulous life going on. As a result, she too will walk across the stage tonight. Someone encouraged you, and you have probably already encouraged someone else. In any case, recognize that you inspire other people, even when you don't know it. Thank the ones who have been that support to you, and support those who come along beside you and after you. Don't miss today while you work toward tomorrow. One of my regrets is that I didn't see Barry in the hospital during that last stay until they called me to tell me that he had died. I had the flu too, you see. Everyone in our house had the flu. And so I didn't go see him. So many times before, he had been at the brink of death and he had always fought back. This time I called him on Sunday or Monday, and he didn't sound so bad. So I gave in to my own illness and I didn't go to the hospital. But Barry was always aware of his own mortality. His mother died in 2009 from the complications of diabetes and kidney disease herself. And he talked with me about his shortened life expectancy. No wonder he wrestled with depression. But he also made sure to enjoy time with his friends. He went to concerts. He made it around to everyone's house during the holidays. When he petted the cat, he completely focused on petting the cat. I have been astounded at the number of people who have told me that he was their best friend. And I firmly believe every one of them. It's a cliche, but it's true. Don't take today for granted. Don't take that person sitting next to you, that person you ride next to in the car, that person you go home to, that person you haven't seen in 2 years who misses you. Don't take them for granted. Set your goals and work hard to achieve them. But don't just look to the horizon. Notice the ground on which you walk right now. Finally, your character matters more than your GPA. At his memorial service, a young woman came up to me to say Barry had been her first boyfriend in high school. She said her parents were very strict about when she had to be home, who she spent time with, and so forth. But when she went somewhere with Barry, her parents were not worried, and she knew then how important that kind of trust was. I learned that more than once Barry brought together two people who thought they didn't like each other, leading them to form a friendship that has lasted for years. More than once, he took co-workers home with him because they were homeless. Barry made sure they each had food and a place to sleep indoors. He didn't tell his mother he was doing that. He snuck them into the basement, but that's another story. I met a woman he befriended who said that she had, quote, lost her music, and he encouraged her to find her voice again, leading to a revival of a simple part of her identity. Story after story of his kindness and his wisdom. If success is measured by what people say at your funeral, my son was a rousing success. Barry would have loved to be here today. He would have loved the attention, and he would have loved celebrating with all of you as he stood in line with you back there, cracking jokes and making new friends. In the months before his death, he achieved his CompTIA A+ certification, and he was justifiably proud of that. He was looking forward to applying for jobs, getting into something where he could contribute despite his health challenges. He would have been so proud to cross this stage and shake hands with Dr. Wise and the others representing this school. So you see, that chair is not so empty. It is full of hopes and dreams, of challenges faced and obstacles overcome, of love and family and support and friendship. It is full with Barry's impact. I hope that you and your family and friends feel that pride as well. You have worked hard. You have stayed the course. You have become a more effectively functioning human being, and you will have the documentation to prove it. You are ready now to justify the faith and investment in you by your supporters and by the taxpayers of the state of Tennessee. Surely you didn't think you were finished, did you? I'm always moved by a graduation ceremony, and I'm especially moved tonight. Congratulations to Barry, and congratulations to all of you. Dr. Wise.